Good morning, everybody. Happy Wednesday. Coffee with Coach Brandy. Going on a walk this morning. I'm not going to have my coffee until later, but I like to get my steps while I chat with you guys. So I've been doing a lot of chats with you guys just kind of randomly and spontaneously while I've been on my walks, but I like to stick to this Wednesday 9 a.m. Coffee with Coach Brandy segment. And today is about mindset coaching. And as the little tag said, it's a tough subject, as far as like the number one thing I think that gets in people's way, because it's a tough conversation you have to have with yourself as far as being real, because this is where some excuses can kind of come into. This is where negative thoughts can come in, and this is absolutely where limiting beliefs live. And I think that the more people can do some personal growth and self-development, PGD, personal growth, self-development, the more you'll become in tune to having these tougher conversations with yourself about these limiting beliefs and these mindset things that are holding you back. So the specific topic I want to talk to you today about this is waiting for the perfect time. I'll say it again, waiting for the perfect time. And you might have a little snicker, you might laugh. You might have a smirk, a little smile, because you're guilty. I mean, I can't name one human being that hasn't had this issue, especially with focusing on getting healthier, eating healthier, starting an exercise routine. I think starting an exercise routine is the number one way people make this excuse. And I see it all the time, because when I offer 2 weeks free or 1 month free or 3 classes free or 1 week unlimited, whatever, people always are like, oh, well, if it's 1 week of unlimited classes, let me see if I can find a time where I can come every day for the week. And it's like, well, I get that, but yet are you going to come 7 days a week all the time? So we're programmed as humans, especially in 2024 society, to squeeze the juice, every last drop of juice out of the lemon as we possibly can. I get it. I'm guilty of that too. But just because you have this week-long trial, for example, doesn't mean you have to come in every single day to make the most of it. If you came in twice or 3 times, that's probably more than what you did the 7 days before. And that's the sustainable way, right? This is that all or nothing mentality that is deeply bred within each of us, again, in 2024 Western culture society. And the quicker you can really start to be like, oh, that's what's going on, you'll kind of almost be appalled with your mentality around that. At least I know I am. It makes me sick how much I'm constantly trying to do, go, get the most out of everything. And it's stop, slow down, smell the roses, and just get started. Because 2 is better than none, right? 7 is probably too much. And when you think about the whole concept of waiting for the perfect time to get started, you're probably waiting for a project at work to simmer down. You might be waiting to get through a couple of different travel trips. You might be waiting for your school's extracurricular activities to pause. Those things will inevitably cease, but why can't you exist and start to make the needle move forward? And that's a key phrase here, the needle moving forward. It doesn't mean the needle has to go from 0 to 100. It means the needle has to move forward. Why can't you fold that in as part of it? And I know you might be like, well, Brandy, but that's part of me, not being all or nothing. If I've got this project going on at work, how can I exercise? Well, exercise just so happens to be a huge form of outlet for stress. And whether you've got multiple trips backed up, whether you're got a bunch of guests in town, you have a project due at school, you have a project done at work, you're stressed. Every single one of us is stressed these days. And working out is scientifically proven to help with that. So why wouldn't you want to do that? Especially when the exercise is 40 minutes. I can understand not wanting to take on some big like half marathon training plan or to try to work out every day. But what happens if you try to fit in 1 or 2 40-minute sessions here or there as you finish this work project, school deadline, have guests in town, get a couple of workouts in between your travel sessions? That's what I'm talking about. It is this whole waiting for the perfect time is highly, highly correlated with the all or nothing mentality. And these are the mentalities that are holding us back from consistency and longevity within our health and wellness, which is then what's holding you back from actually achieving the results you want. So if you're like, Brandy, man, I've been trying to lose these same 20 pounds for a long time. I just can't seem to do it. I've tried everything. You probably have tried a lot, but in that trying, it's been very inconsistent. And the inconsistency is due to us being humans in 2024. But again, the quicker you can digest this all or nothing, this waiting for the perfect time where we're like all gas pedal, all brake pedal, like that's where the breakthrough happens. So exactly, Paula, moving forward just a bit is still moving forward. And I said this the other day on one of my more spontaneous calls, like base hits are better than home runs all of the time. We all want to walk up to the plate and hit a grand slam for everything. But this waiting for the perfect time is crazy. And I'm talking about this because wholeheartedly, I've had a few consultations lately at this studio, phone call, in person, in the last like 15, 20 days, where there's been a handful of people that are like, well, this all seems great, but I need to wait for a better time. And when I inquire, like, what's going on? The things that people are saying are not really, like, they're not really justifiable, just being honest, for what they were saying. I've been in situations like when my husband had, cancer, and there was a lot of like surgery and procedures in doctor's office. Like there was just like, I couldn't take on anymore. That is its own situation. But if it's just like, well, my work schedule is a little hard and I don't really like getting up early, so I'm just going to wait until next spring when it's lighter out earlier, which is essentially what one woman told me. And I'm like, you're going to wait until next spring to get started with exercise because now we're getting darker, but you were too busy over the summer and this past spring to do it. Like that person is wholeheartedly in her own way. And it broke my heart. I'm not making fun of her. I'm using her as an example because that's the type of stuff that we say, right? But she's sitting there believing her own stuff. But when I kind of, as a coach, poked her to like, what happens if you try a handful of 6 a.m. workouts so that you can get it in before work because you're not getting it done after work. You're sitting here telling me you can't do it after work as far as like you're running around after the kids. So the only time you can do it is before work, but you're not really a morning person. I get it. Not everybody's a morning person. I'm not saying you have to get up at 5 a.m. 5 days of the week. I'm talking once or twice. And so that's where I wanted to just be really candid and honest. And I know this is, again, a hard conversation and you might disagree, and that's fine. I just hope that there is some honesty, some raw honesty in this for anybody that's watching that this resonates with, of like, man, I keep putting it off and I keep saying I'll get started next week. This isn't the right time. I'll start next month. I'll get started as soon as XYZ happens or gets done or finishes up. How are you holding yourself accountable to actually doing that in the case that it is specifically justifiable? So when that deadline finishes November 17th, what are you doing November 18th to move your butt forward? Like, that's critically important. But what happens is this becomes a habit. Believe it or not, these things that we kind of create, these justifications in our head, become a habit. oh, well, I don't want to walk outside when it's too cold. I'm not talking about snowy or icy. I'm talking about just too cold. Well, that's why God made layers, right? Like, but we start to just fall into that habit of, I just don't walk when it's cold out. So then you're not walking all winter, but there's plenty of opportunity. And then you get into that habit of, oh, well, I've got X, Y, and Z happening. I'll just get started when I'm done with that. And then that thing finishes, and then inevitably, oh, something else came up. And that's like the crutch that we lean on. So, hard conversation, hard to be honest with yourself. This is probably one of the most vulnerable areas, should you choose to face it, to really get real with yourself. And it's okay to get pissed or mad. These are like the emotions that I felt when I went through this, really kind of shedding some layers that just no longer serve me of my mental state, of the excuses I made, the things I told myself, and staying stuck. And that's when I was my unhealthiest, and that is when I was my unhappiest. And so getting real and having those harder conversations and making some pen to paper moments of like what's really happening is what then got me to this space where I'm much better. I'm not perfect, not by any means, but I am much better off with having those candid conversations and being real with myself if I'm just being lazy and making excuses, or if there's really something powerful happening in my life that is preventing me from shifting things and getting started on something. And then when you choose to get started, don't lean into all or nothing. Oh, well, just because I ate really healthy today and yesterday, oh shoot, the next day I ate a donut, it's over. I suck, I'm terrible. Let me never bother with healthy eating again. I'm just going to throw the towel in. It's super dangerous. So you've got to adjust some of those thought process of, okay, well, I ate really healthy the day before. I ate healthy today. Boom, next day wake up, had the donut. Well, crap happens. Like, what else can I eat that's healthy? I skipped my workout the last 2 days. When can I get a workout in? And appreciate it that much more versus beating yourself up that much more. So that's my spiel. Hope y'all don't hate me for this. I like to be real. I don't think that a coach that blows smoke up people's tushes and coddles is very supportive or helpful. And I think that people can really make some powerful breakthroughs when they allow that space. So let me know what things that you are currently working on to get a little bit more focused and a little bit more real. If you are struggling with all or nothing, let me know how things are going. If you feel like you're struggling with making excuses as far as like, oh, I'll get started when, and just waiting for that perfect time, but you've been waiting 6 months, 18 months, 3 years, since COVID. I still meet people to this very day. If you're still listening, this is wild. I literally met another person this week who she says she hasn't worked out since COVID. Again, no shame and no hate on her. It's just that that's what she was kind of talking about. This is where these conversations come from, was like, well, I told myself I'd get started in 2021. I just had to finish out that, and then this thing happened, and then that thing happened. And she was basically giggling, but yet very serious and very real. The giggle was to cover up her discomfort of looking back retrospectively at these things that came up. They weren't justifiable to her actions. She very well could have been working out this whole time, but she's let herself go. And here she is, about 35 pounds, as she said, heavier. Clothes don't fit. She's bought 2 new wardrobes, but she's done. And I was excited because she was sitting in front of me and she said yes. And she's working out in her community this week. She's checking us out. She's done with all or nothing. She's done with waiting. And it's happening. And it's the most empowering, most beautiful thing ever. So just remember, you have your own story. Everybody else has their own story. There's no shame. There's no judgment. But there is always reflection. And there's always like, how can I reconcile all of this to be better? So enjoy your reconciling. I'm going to enjoy the rest of this walk. Get back and go keep working on helping more people. Shar, Teresa, April, Paula, thank you for joining me live. I hope you guys can get out for a walk today. It is simply too nice. Okay,